Hello everybody, this is Christian Schiller. Welcome to my special coverage of IBC 2022. Straight and direct and in person, very much in person from Amsterdam. I learned a lot. I did my own coverage, as you will see. Also, I've got some coverage I did with officehours.global on the much higher quality cameras. So that looks a little bit odd, and you'll see me on camera there. But I was very much reminded of why I love going to these sorts of events, the people I met, the connections I made, the things I learned from people just in passing, the socializing, etc., etc. It was great to get back, probably the biggest event I've covered in quite some time, and I hope and look forward to many more of the same. Enjoy my coverage.
So I'm Michael Davey, and Robotica translates information and communications into sign languages, such as British Sign Language. We're a brand new company, we've been going just 2 years, and we believe we are world leaders in the technology we've got. So at IBC, we're showing our 7th generation avatar. So the problem is that deaf people are excluded from accessing information and communications. People who are born and grow up without hearing learn to speak with their hands, body, and faces. A visual language such as British Sign Language is often their first or only language, the language of their internal monologue. And the World Federation of the Deaf has put out research that suggests that 80% of deaf people are illiterate or semi-literate in the written and spoken language of their country. So for many deaf people, subtitles and written communications are of little or no help. They need sign languages in order to be able to access content. In the UK, for example, there are 151,000 people who rely on British Sign Language as their first, primary or preferred language, but only 908 registered interpreters. So this is a huge problem for the content providers. Those interpreters are doing really important work in courtrooms, at police interviews, at job interviews, in school classrooms, and at hospital appointments. Only a tiny percentage either are or want to be media trained. So for the broadcasters with a huge catalogue of content they want to make accessible to deaf audiences, when they can't get hold of the interpreters, this is a huge problem. Robotica can't do everything. There are some places where a human is best to do it. So, for instance, for news broadcasts, for breaking stories, natural disasters, but for everything else, there's Robotica. We can do live content for very specific genres today. So, for instance, for weather forecasts and for railway platform station announcements. We hope that we'll shortly be able to do it for very specific children's content as well. Everything else we're doing today with the broadcasters is in post-production. We can produce avatars to meet customer requirements. We can create bespoke avatars for customers. That is quite an expensive process. We have a range of avatars that more completely represent the diversity of deaf people. Avatars give us a number of unique selling points. So, for instance, our avatars can do instant clothes changes like that. We can also have multiple avatars on screen, and we can make the avatars look like the people themselves, the characters themselves in the production. Our avatars know British Sign Language today. We can also do huge speech in British English, American English, and French, and we can add a new huge speech language in a couple of days. We can also do sign-supported English, and our avatars are busy learning American Sign Language and Italian Sign Language at the moment. This was part of our pitch to Sky. This is actually one of the first pieces of work we did. So the signing isn't the best and the animation isn't the best, but it shows a number of important concepts. So for instance, we can change the color of the avatar's clothes on demand to represent which character the avatar is signing for at any particular point. Because British Sign Language is a different language to English, there isn't a one-to-one translation. And so you'll see she changes colour at a different point to when the subtitles change colour. So Sky uses a actress called Lily James, and we thought, wouldn't it be fun to create a avatar that was a little bit like Lily James from the Sky adverts, or indeed a baby, or a gorilla wearing a dress. The limitations are basically the limitations of your imagination. As long as the avatar has got good facial expressions, 4 fingers and a thumb, then we can accurately represent British Sign Language. And if we get involved early enough in the production process, we can create avatars that look like the characters themselves. Now, for this particular proof of concept, we didn't have access to the actors that play Diana and Matthew, so we used paparazzi shots instead. With better quality source material, we can make a better quality facsimile. The internal process is quite complicated, as you imagine. There's a lot of things going on, but the customer journey is really simple. A broadcaster provides us with a piece of AV content and also a full transcript of the audio. Our machine learning then takes that, uses the picture element, the audio, and the transcript together to translate from a natural language or translate from a spoken or written language to the target sign language. Our avatars can do a number of different signing systems. So we can do Makaton and also sign along. So that's not for deaf users, that's for a different type of service users, typically those who have learning or communications difficulties. There are over 250 sign languages that are recognized around the world. There are groups of sign language, a bit like groups of spoken and written language, but they don't necessarily map one-to-one. So British Sign Language is completely different to American Sign Language. But American Sign Language and French Sign Language are related. Those 250 different sign languages are going to keep us busy for a little while.
Hi, I'm Stephen Talaby. I'm the CTO here at EditShare. We're very excited to be back at IBC to show a lot of the new workflows that we've been developing over the last period of time. Having a lot of customers talking to us about cloud, about remote workflows, and also about how they can remain agnostic to their creative tools. So we're seeing a lot of people in the industry having this transition through, are they going to use Avid Media Composer, are they going to use Adobe, are they going to use Resolve, are they going to use something else? And so we've been doing a lot of work to help people with that sort of flexibility of creative tool choice. So what does EditShare do? Just as a quick recap, we provide storage. Storage can be in the cloud or on-premise. And we also provide our media asset management, which is called Flow. So those are our core products, and we've got those available to customers who are either on-premise, on the cloud, or even wanting a hybrid of both. It's all about that collaboration aspect. And also, EditShare exists to simplify storytelling. And so what do we mean by that? It means usually automating repetitive tasks. And we want people to be able to do that regardless of their creative tool. So we don't want to say, well, you can only automate this if you're using Adobe or Avid or something else. We want to say, well, there's a universal workflow and a universal project that you work from. And that's one of the new things that we're showing here at IBC is our universal project capability. Okay. So that can actually allow you to work directly with Avid bins. You can use our panels for both Adobe and Resolve, and you can work from a centralized project that everybody can collaborate with. What we've done is we've sort of tried to get to the position where we believe that if the tool can do something, we should allow it to do that thing, and then we'll try to extract out the common view plus anything else that the other things, and they can just discard it. So that was the kind of workflow. So let's say that Adobe has one feature that's available and Media Composer doesn't. Well, we'll still work with the Adobe feature, right? We want to be better than that. Because traditionally there's been things like the AAF workflow, and that goes with the lowest common denominator. It's like, well, it's what does that vendor support on their export versus what does this vendor support on their import? Because we're working directly with the APIs and directly with the tools themselves, we can have a much more detailed sort of view of things. We find our customers working through a whole suite of different things. When they're integrated, it's great. We love the Adobe team. They're fantastic. They're really good to work with. And the Frame solution is a really good integrated solution. But of course, that's not necessarily going to work if you want to do review and approve, say, with Media Composer, and we've got lots of post houses and education and others that are using Media Composer and Adobe in tandem together. Yeah, so Final Cut, Final Cut is slightly more difficult to integrate directly with. However, our latest release, one of the things that we found with Final Cut is it performs some operations that some of the other NLEs don't do. In particular, when you launch media into it, it does a scan of the audio and creates an audio overview, a waveform overview. And that does very, very nasty things to the storage layer. And it's well documented in the industry that usually that will only really work well off an SSD. That's the general perception in the industry. Don't use network storage. In our latest release that came out just on Monday, we've optimized our file system specifically to work with that troublesome part of Final Cut Pro. It actually can work faster now than onboard storage. So Final Cut is still very popular, particularly in China and other regions. That it's very, very popular. I mean, it is still popular globally, but particularly, in the professional industry, it's very much used there. So for EditShare, again, we're trying to make the best experience across the NLEs. Integration into them isn't always as easy as possible, but if a customer comes to us with a problem, hey, it's taking just way too long to generate these audio waveforms, we can go in and optimize the whole stack from the client, what you saw earlier, those mount points all the way through to our back-end servers. We can help and advise the customer on how to get there, and we've always optimizing the system for that. What we've got here, we've got a few things that I'm showing you. So this is our Airflow interface. So it's a web-based, it's a universal view of our project, right? So you can see here we've got clips, we've got sequences, subclips, the whole sort of project structure is here within the interface. But what we can do then is within our new project sync tool, we can then link that up. So you can see down here, we've linked that up here to an actual Avid project, right? And then you can see these are the Avid bins. These are the actual bin files that are inside of the Avid project. And so what we can be doing is either, if we want to, we can be in Airflow, change things in Airflow or any of our automation tools, and then synchronize them into Avid bins, or we can go the other way around. So if it's somebody adds things to their Avid bins, we can have them sync back into the Airflow kind of environment. So I think that's pretty an interesting thing. Another thing I just wanted to show also, because cloud is a very important kind of conversation for us with our customers. So we launched the Flex product just at NAB, but we've been enhancing it over the last period of time to integrate a few other solutions. So we find some people, they've already been working in the cloud a lot. If you're a broadcaster, maybe you've already been using AWS or something for a long time. You've got DevOps teams, all those kind of things. Many of our customers don't have that, right? And so what we wanted to do is bring together a few partner solutions so they could just have an out-the-box experience, and we call that Cloud Edit Plus. It means you can edit in the cloud, but you've got a few extra tools just to make it so that your IT teams don't have to go and get their AWS certifications. We can just stand up an entire solution. So an example of that, one of the really useful parts we have is the Teradici Cloud Access Manager. So this is a partner solution. What this is showing is just a very simple interface to show all the workstations that are running, which ones are started, which are stopped. That's quite important because when you have a workstation in the cloud, you can save a lot of money by just turning it off. So they don't need to go into the AWS interface, they can use that. And what's great about that is that if we come over here, this is what the editor sees. They don't even need to see that. All they see is their remote desktop client. They can see the same different ones. They can see that somebody's currently using workstation 1. They can see that this one's available, so they could just log in, or they could even remote start it here. So if they needed to get onto workstation 3, they could reset, they could click it and start it. So EFS, our storage client, so those are actually talking to on-premise ones in this particular scenario. But if I was to log on to one of those workstations, you would have these mount points, and those talk directly to the EditShare storage. And so you can just use your applications as you normally would. Yeah, one of the other things that we're finding is our customers wanting to work across multiple different sites as well. So in physical sites. So some people are in the cloud, some people are working on physical, some want a hybrid of that. So one of the new features that we've added into EFS is this synchronization, right? So this is now built-in file acceleration from two EditShare clusters. So you can see here, I can actually come in here and create and find a remote site. So I can pick a remote destination, a remote site, and then synchronize things between it. And this is a fully synchronous process. So I can say I want to go to the London Bureau, I want to create a new space on that remote bling and then synchronize. This has a built-in file accelerator that's included in the product. It's not anything, it's based on an open source product, because we found a lot of our customers trying to synchronize. An example would be, hey, I'm out, I'm doing a shoot in location, and then I have a central edit facility and I want to get stuff back there really fast. I tried doing it with other tools, it wouldn't move fast enough. So we really have looked at ways in which we can make it very easy for them to use that with file acceleration between. So this is another feature that's just launched in our product, which I think is really useful for those hybrid workflows where people are wanting to work across different locations.
So I'm Keith Lissack with Avid Technology, and at IBC, everything we're showing here is cloud related. That's certainly where the industry is going, but what we do a bit differently is we foster collaboration of large teams in the cloud. So at this demo, for instance, media production in the cloud, we show how a reality television show can have literally hundreds of contributors based anywhere, accessing the same content, the same shared storage without stepping on each other, and then managing all of that media seamlessly. Here at the show, what is new is we're showing integration between two of our lead products, Media Composer, which is the editing system of choice, and Pro Tools, which is the audio editing system of choice for a lot of music professionals. And so now we're showing interoperability for the first time between those products. We're also showing something called Avid Edit on Demand, which is a full SaaS-based editor in the cloud. Allows you to spin up Media Composer working with Nexus shared storage literally in a matter of minutes. So you requires no infrastructure on your part. Avid has been around a long time, but we've been innovating for a long time. So we've kind of anticipated a lot of the trends. The media industry in general does not always go kicking and screaming in some sense into the future because workflows get entrenched and it's hard to change. But the industry, being more of a software-based industry now, is moving towards subscription models. And we're finding that there are some clients who embrace that and some have concerns, but we work with them to show the long-term financial benefits. But really moving to subscription models, that's kind of like one of the latest things, but it's in line with industries all over the place, not just in media and entertainment. Pro Tools and Media Composer, those are both Avid products, but we interop with a lot of products within the media production workflow chain. Everything from, you can use a third-party editor. You could use Adobe Premiere Pro with our Nexus storage, or DaVinci Resolve for finishing right out of Media Composer as well. So really in this day and age, you can't operate in a silo. You've got to have that interoperability, that capability to use the creative tools that your customers need to use. We're actually showing several new things in Media Composer. One of them is an over-the-shoulder capability that really allows, let's say, a producer based anywhere to see the feed out of Media Composer as if they're standing over the shoulder of their editor. And it's a SRT feed, it's high quality, so they can see exactly what the editor is working on, whether that editor is working here in Amsterdam and the producer might be in Los Angeles or something. So that's a new thing we're showing. Nexus Edge is also something new. That works with Media Composer and our storage and allows you to have on-prem storage accessible by your team no matter where they are. So they can log in and access that same pool of shared storage as well.
Welcome to the Avid stand. We have some really great features. This is actually a preview of Media Composer 2022.10. Media Composer has been out there for over 30 years now, and we have a lot of great technology built into the software. But this preview, we've done a lot of things to help bring in a lot of new editors to Media Composer. If people don't know how to use the windows and move around, one thing we're introducing are what are called passive hints. So things like if you go in to create a new bin, you'll see here that we'll introduce sort of a little hint as to what you need to do to bring media in. So drag from source browser to add clips into the project, which is just simply going to the source browser in the system. I'm going to navigate to my storage here, and let's say I want to grab some clips, a little nature stock footage, drag from the source browser, drag it in. We're now introducing that media into Media Composer. So simple things like that. Even in going in and creating a new sequence. I want to go in and create a new sequence. We have different templates that we can set up. And these templates will allow you to go in and say you want to go in and start with a new sequence. Drag clips here to start editing. So we could go in and drag any of these clips right into our timeline and start the editing process. Again, we're trying to make it as easy as possible for new editors to work on the system. So again, besides that, we have a lot of new things with the software that allow you to, I'm going to do my little cheat here, to allow you to do things like relink. So relinking is a big thing with Media Composer. When you add media, like things that you may have done in the software with, we have some nice little kite footage here. I have some sequences. You have to find those. I want to go in and start cutting with some new footage. I'm going to grab some kite footage. Let me go back to my source browser here. And I have a folder called Move Here with the Kite Footage. So if I take that and drag it into my window here, you can see we have some really nice kite footage that maybe I want to start adding into my timeline as well. So we're just going to go in and do a little bit of cutting here. Notice that you can drag and drop right from your bin into the timeline. You can start adding effects and layers just like you could in Media Composer for years. But what happens if that media moves? So I'm going to go and navigate to the folder, go back to the move here, and let's see if I move that back out into a different part of the system, what's going to happen with the software. So ideally, if we go in and have some media move around and want to relink to it, we could actually select the bin, go to relink, and look, we can relink to the actual media folder. So ideally, if media moves in your system, it gets moved to a different folder, you can simply go in and select where that media is to actually be relinked back to the software. We also have the ability to, or will have the ability to move quickly through your UI, your user interface. In the new version of Media Composer, we've actually created these docked panels so you can create a really nice, clean, customized look. But if you want to use a keystroke to go in and move through the process, if I use the up and down arrow keys, you can see you can easily move through each of the panels. You don't have to click. As Media Composer editors start working, when you're mapping your keys to the keyboard, they may never touch the mouse. So the idea is you're going to be more efficient moving around through the keyboard. And also, if you're in your bin container, you can see here I have multiple bins. I can simply use another keystroke to simply tab through my bin. So again, we're trying to make you more efficient as you are working, being able to move through the keyboard. So again, a lot of great stuff in the software. Media Composer's out there for over 30 years. A major part of television shows and feature films use it. There is a free trial you can always download. Give it a try. Let us know what you think.
Ariana here, Director of Solutions Engineering at Varnish Software. We are a company providing CDN software and caching software end-to-end. So everything HTTP based on layer 7. That's something we can help with when delivering live video on-demand content, web and API, and all the surroundings really. So it started back in early 2000 from a Norwegian newspaper, and that was the open source version. And Varnish Software started right after the open source project was initiated to provide commercial support. And that was back in the days. And it's been more than 20 years now. So since then, we have grown a lot, and our business is now very much different from the open source. So we still offer caching capabilities, but we have a portfolio of feature which is much more complete and appealing to all the industry looking for a CDN solution. I'd say by now it's very different, but we as a company, we are still, at some extent, we are still involved in the open source project, but our the core and the focus is on our business, so on the Varnish enterprise product. I've been part of the company since 2014. And back in the day, as you said, the bulk of the business was really web and API, newspaper, and e-commerce website pushing content and try to reach their users. Whereas towards between 2015, 2016, we have seen a shift towards video streaming. And that's when you had the first video on-demand provider, well known today as well. And since since 2016, we have started focusing on video streaming and content delivery networks. And today, the bulk of our business is really all about content delivery networks, private for internal content, 5G networks, expanding existing infrastructure, and all of that. So the existing clients we have, we want to retain them. And potentially expand the existing infrastructure they have depending on the new use cases. So 2016, you have video. 2018, 2019, you have ultra low latency and the concept of 5G. And moving forward, it will probably be 6G, which seems to be the new trend in the industry. And ultra low latency again for streaming and all of that. And together, while we retain customers, we also extend our customers' portfolio. And what we see today really is that live and or video in general is becoming expensive, both in terms of cost and performances. And that's where we focus on, trying to reduce the cost for the existing infrastructure and improve the performances for the end users. We work closely with, for example, with Intel and other vendors in the industry to try to squeeze pretty much as well the 100% of whatever the available infrastructure can offer us. So in a scenario where you need to deliver a lot of video volume, every single gigabit per second you can save really counts at the end of the month in terms of billing and the performance benefits. For as sad as the period has been, that was actually a good period for us because people have started, for us and all the other industry players, people have started consuming much more content, much more video. And as you said, instead of looking at a centralized setup, we have started looking at a distributed setup where you have a central backbone for the CDN, and then you have several satellite pops or satellite nodes, which will be closer to the end users and which will avoid bottlenecks on the network and improve the quality of the experience. And that's still the trend nowadays, especially with the 5G and geographical locations which are now exploding in terms of content delivery. I think we're still gonna continue with the 5G implementations because that has been a buzzword for a few years now, I think. But by now, some of the telcos available out there have rolled out the 5G infrastructure, which is great, and that's something tangible we can work on. But the next big step will likely be the edge computing and the 6G industry. And with edge computing, I tend to challenge everyone to give me a definition valid for most of the players of what edge computing is and how helpful that could be. It's really all about leveraging the data you have available to provide more value to your customers and equally increase and optimize the setup you have in-house. What that means in terms of technical requirements, because that's what I'm after all the time, I don't really know. Or better, it's different from case to case and depending on the industry and company you're working with.
So my name is Mirko Nedeljkovic. I'm the CEO of Suitest. Suitest is a object-based OTT test automation solution, and we're making testing on smart TVs easy. We are testing installable OTT apps. We have been app developers ourselves, and we came across the need to test on multiple devices, and there was no automation tool out there when we were looking for it. And so the idea first was, okay, HTML-based apps, it should be easy to apply Selenium to TVs. Unfortunately, TVs don't offer WebDriver support. So we had to find another approach, and this was something that took us some time, but through instrumentation of the app, we are able to do object-based testing compared to what our competitors do with image recognition. So image recognition might work well with set-top boxes that have an HDMI out, but TVs don't. So grabbing the TV screen is not the best basis for such testing. Our biggest client base is the app developers, like names like Axido, 3SS, 24i, and others. They are using us because we are a multi-platform. So we offer a tool that they can apply and use for every platform. They can reuse the test that they have written for one platform on another platform. So it's very efficient. And because we don't require any additional hardware except maybe for a tiny infrared emitter, which is basically just a USB stick, the setup is quick and easy. So it's affordable. It is multi-platform, and app developers love it. The next biggest customer group are broadcasters. So all Freeview Play apps in the UK are being tested with our solution, and we have direct relationships with many broadcasters, especially who are doing HBB TV apps, since this was the platform which we initially started to support. Suitest is cloud-based, so what you see here is just a web interface to our codeless test editor. So the codeless test editor enables anybody, even without coding or scripting skills, to build test cases for automated tests. So first we inspect the elements of an app. We load the app. We can look into the structure. We can determine which elements are there and save it to our so-called element repository. So you can see this in the structure. When my colleague moves with a mouse, you will see on the app, you will see which element is being highlighted, and you see the element in the code structure. And on the right, you can immediately, we're grabbing all properties that this element provides. So the position, the size, the URL of this image, this is all immediately available through this tool. So we save these elements, and then we can use them for assertions in our tests. So we select this element, and then we can make on automated test runs assertions whether it is still has the same properties as it had when we were recording their properties. So you can make assertions on UI. You can make assertions on network requests, on network traffic.
What I did, I changed the top property of the element, and you see the test has failed. and Suitest will tell you that you were expecting the value to be 120, but actually it was 119. So it might be an error, it might be a device issue, there the application was updated. If that's the case, you just go here to Elements repository, you find the element logo, you open it here, you edit, find the property that was with the top position, just update it, and all our tests will be updated. And that's basically all the maintenance that you need to do. So what you do then, once you have tests running, you assign some tags to it, which you will use then to select tests to be run on like a set of devices. So for example, you want to run a smoke test on Roku, so you do a smoke test on Roku, there's just one test. You schedule on which devices you want to run it. You can do it manually, or there's like advanced scheduling here. So every Monday, Tuesday, 2 a.m., I will run the test, save that, and then Suitest will make sure once the devices are available, we will run the test and you will get the results. So for that, you have these executions here. So these were some successes. They're not that important. There's just the green stick, but when you want to see what went wrong, there's so you go to this test. There's like overview of all those errors. You can watch the test definition and see here on that device there is something that is not supported by that platform, for example, or the position is wrong. What you can do also is in the schedule, you can be notified when the test is successfully finished and when there is an error. You can add email recipients here from your organization, or you can configure like a Slack connection to have messages being sent directly to you. What you can do also when you have some results, you can go here and see that there's a result on 2 devices, so you can export that test, for example, of this device to Excel file, and in that Excel file you will see how long each line took, what was the result, what was the test definition here. So you can take that, send it to application developers, and they can somehow process it. If you want, you can export that as a CSV file, so they can take that and somehow automatically process. You do. And so what we also offer is when you have your devices and you connect a camera, either this phone that's in front of the TV or USB camera, or we have HDMI grabbers, there's this option to start a stream. So you can work remotely. The device is sitting in your office, you're sitting at home, you need to do like quick change somewhere, you just connect, see the TV. There's this virtual remote which you can use to control the applications. You see when I click, something happens there. You can play the video, and that's how you can work remotely with those devices. We also provide network API, so like part of your CI process. You make new application, there's a API for uploading the application, selecting devices to run, and you will get results back here in the Suitest interface. And if that is not enough for you, you can always start writing tests in JavaScript API. It's like our program language, but like a tool or SDK that you will write tests. You can start where you stopped here, like in the test editor. You already have some tests, so you will export them, and then you can use your favorite versioning system to do it and run on CI, make it part of your CI/CD pipeline. That's much that.
Okay.
And then you might have devices like being stuck, so you have support for
It's there.
it's there for this Tapo smart plugs, so you can add them. You can remotely turn the device on and off because you need hard reset. So we're all like remote work.
You can use it for websites because our customers have apps basically for all platforms. So we extended the coverage to desktop browsers, to all desktop browsers, and to mobile as well. So this is basically the one-stop solution to all target platforms of an OTT app. So we are showing here new development. One new development is this testing of live App Store apps, which we can show you on Disney app, which we don't, we
Basically goes, it opens the application, checks for it to load. It moves to the video, it will start it, and there's progress. We will check whether the progress was made, and then we go back and we reset the user so we can start over. So I will run it.
Oh.
It wasn't mentioned, but we also have like an app for a phone where you get this virtual remote control. So some people just use it like to ditch all the remote controls. You just connect to a TV and you have remote control on your phone, so you can do that as well. So yeah, the application is loading the video. Right. So yeah, so we move forward. We check again that the video is playing. So that's we get some properties out of the video. So the state. So we wait for it to start playing again. So yeah, so it started. So we will continue with the task. And now we will go back to to navigation here. So we're pressing like a back button until we are able to go back to the switch profile page again. So so if we will now move up to the switch user. The application changes the state a lot, so sometimes so it will now move up to the switch user. So we kind of reset the state again and we're done.
It's a video.
Yeah, so this is, how should I say, so-called the first concept of the so-called pan tilt zoom camera with this interchangeable lens concept. Okay. So now we have the very good lineup for our so-called E-mount lenses, which can be used not only for this type of camera, but also the cinema type of camera, as well as so-called interchangeable alpha type of the camera. So this is our, how should I say, the new lineup, which enhance the shooting opportunity for the creators. So yeah, we also very pleased to introduce this model, and we just want to listen about the customer's reputation, what kind of image they want to shoot with these new concept cameras.
And has anyone been using it yet, or is this just released?
This is just a released camera, yes. So for how should I say this type of the concept, for us it is the first time to reflect this interchangeable lens concept to pan tilt zoom camera. So for us this is also the new challenge, and just we launch, then we are listening the customer's voice here. Yeah.
And does it support all of your lenses or just particular lenses?
Yeah, so depend on the lens, some limitation is there. But how should I say that normally how we are optimized based on our E-mount lens lineup. Then the best package is if you mount with the so-called power zoom lens, you can control with our interface.
In fact, maybe our new friend Tino would like to give us a quick demo of how to control it.
Sure.
It's just like a regular PTZ, but it's full frame, you can change on the lens, I'm really impressed.
And the so-called pan tilt speed is also optimized for the, how should I say, the good speed. So it's not too fast. So and if we choose the most slowest the speed, very precise movement. can be generated. So not, how should I say, not only the so-called very quick movement, but also the very slow, smooth image you can take with these products. So together with this lens, how should I say, the taste, you can enjoy the beautiful, how should I say, the pan tilt image shooting with this new product. So yeah.
Most accurate.
Yeah. Yes. So especially the cinema or those kind of movie, if we really looking at the, how should I say, the contents, the punch speed is very slow and very smooth to, how should I say, generate the taste. So it is designed as such.
I'm Chris with Office Hours here with Grigory from Disguise. What is Disguise? What does Disguise do?
Disguise, we're a company focused on visualization for graphics for most industries like broadcast, live events, and we enable extended reality, virtual reality, really any type of graphics production, and also a lot of concepts to the metaverse.
And so do you make those yourself or do you provide tools to help other people?
We provide tools that enable artists and production companies to create those experiences and create environments like this one that allow people to kind of enter the graphic, right? Enter the environment.
And is it a completely proprietary tool or are you integrating into like existing tool chains like Unity and Unreal and things like that, or is it your own tool chain?
Yeah, so we have our own production tools and hardware that are built on top of Unreal. So a lot of what we're doing is with Unreal Engine. We do support other render systems like Unity and Notch, but we really focus a lot on Unreal and controlling really the vanilla version of Unreal. We don't create a custom version, so.
And what are you at IBC to talk about in particular?
A lot of cloud production. So a lot of our tools all run in the cloud, enable you to control Unreal from anywhere, remotely or within the facility, as well as ease of use tools, how to create graphics without being a scientist.
I have tried to use Unreal, and yes, is there something in particular you're promoting, a new version or new features you're announcing very soon, I think? Or?
Yeah, right before IBC, we announced our new software version of Porta, which is our cloud application to control Unreal, that it's all web-based. You can run it anywhere. It has like a streaming preview for users and really allows, it's really designer focused. So lets designers kind of control graphics in Unreal without using code, without using blueprints. Just makes it really easy, democratizes who can create graphics in it, because sometimes it can be complex. Yeah.
And is it possible at all to talk about pricing, or is that complicated?
It's complicated because there's different types of installations. I mean, we have free versions of all of our software for universities and different folks to use. Unreal itself is free, so and we really try to make it work for both large companies, large broadcasters, but also small production companies. So I would say it's complicated because of the size of installation. So you can do a simple graphic that's a ticker, but you can also do a giant LED volume that is 100 meters by 35 meters. So different use cases, different size of systems.
And we're about to see a demo here any second now. What are we going to see?
So we're going to see our production here that shows all our tools working together on a XR stage that can do really in any production facility. So
I was hoping it would time perfectly, but it hasn't. So tell us about what you're doing with in the multiverse. Like, what are the tools doing there?
Absolutely. So we're enabling people to kind of take their production to the next level, right? And which is in the metaverse today. So a lot of what we're doing is enabling our tools to work automatically with things like MetaHuman, streaming to any type of device, including VR. And we have a lot of interesting integrations coming out later in the year that are focused around, Web 3.0 and that space.
I think I might have accidentally said multiverse instead of metaverse, but thank you very much, Gregory.
No problem. There's many words, multiverse, omniverse. I mean, everybody has a verse, I guess. So.
AMP is a software-defined platform that Grass Valley offers, which allows deploying services either in the cloud or on-premise. It's agnostic to that, and it's we've taken all of the functions that are part of a broadcast or a media infrastructure, and we've made them virtual. and deployable anywhere in the world, like either cloud or on-premise. It doesn't really have to be in the cloud, but you can operate it from anywhere using HTML browsers. And we support all the workflows throughout the booth here. You would see all the different workflows, so from contribution to asset management to playout to production. Anything you can think of, fundamentally, you can reproduce or replicate in the Agile media processing platform.
And are those various components, are they just Grass Valley related components, or can you also integrate other sources as well?
Actually, we do, yes. We're with GV Media Universe, which is our partner alliance. We actually have here 14 different partners, different companies that offer either contribution type of signals into AMP or things like intercom applications, applications that can be deployed on AMP as well. So intercom, newsroom automation, so things that we don't typically do or ourselves. So we're open to partnering with different types of partners to implement more functionality.
Do you like to give us a quick pointing demo of some of the examples here?
So what you see behind me here is our system dashboard. So it represents the booth, the IBC booth. So the entire Grass Valley demo is actually run off of AMP. So back in the days, at trade shows, we would come here and have racks full of equipment. Now we have 3 servers in the back to do local contribution. And then everything is happening in the cloud or in software on these servers. And the overview here showcases all the different demos that we have. So starting from contribution to signal processing. So we now have our Alchemist now running as a virtual component inside of AMP. We have grading, intercom, production tools like our K-frame. Grass Valley K-frame is now available in a virtualized function. Running inside of AMP. Live Producer, which is a different type of production tool for that tends to the people that are more the younger crowd that want to do, are not necessarily comfortable with the big panels. They want to do simple production. So we have a tool for that. All, again, HTML based, running off a web browser. Then we have a replay solution. We have an asset management or file management solution. We have a master control, and finally we have playout solutions. So the entire workflow available as software running on servers, virtualized. You can deploy it anywhere you want. You can operate it from anywhere you want, and you can we have monitoring tools, so you can, low latency monitoring tools, so you can visualize what you're doing. You can connect control surfaces as well. So if you rather have buttons, if they are operated.
Stream Deck down here.
Exactly. Yeah. So in the prosumer type, you can use a Stream Deck, which are widely available, or you can even go to a Cayenne panel, which is the top of the line K-frame control surface, and have that in your home and connect that to the internet to your system, which could be cloud-based, or it could be on-premise or in a truck at a venue, and operate it remotely through that.
What are these lines connecting the various bits together?
Good question. So these represents the routing between the compute nodes. And the platform abstracts all of the compute node from the operator, and you can route a signal, let's say from here, Amsterdam, all the way back to Montreal, Canada, where I'm from. And just by doing like a simple routing operation, like you would do on a control panel, or a drag and drop in the UI. So that's what you see as dotted lines is signal that's being routed between compute nodes, which are either here or in the cloud or in Montreal.
There's like some Amazon instances here, actually, I think.
Actually, yes. Yeah. All of our playout instances are running off of Amazon. Yeah.
And actually, the strange thing is my background is predominantly in the software world, and some of these things look very familiar to me, but I don't know if I'm just thinking in that world. But when you talk about open APIs, this is literally what I would think of as open APIs?
So what we mean by open APIs, so APIs obviously is a way for a third-party system to get into AMP and control the system, control the deployment of the instances, the services. Open in the fact that anybody could implement them if they want to. These APIs, they all run on REST over encrypted HTTPS links. So we're really, careful about security, encryption of the content, the media, encryption of the streams, and also the files that are stored are all encrypted. So really careful about that. So yeah, that's the concept between open APIs. We have a feature called AMP Control, which also allows automation of things. So at a single button push, if you wanted multiple things to happen, like route a source, start a clip layer, key a logo, you could design a macro that would all do that a single button push. So we can make it really simple for operators to operate the system by giving them only access to what they need to operate it. So absolutely, AMP is available. It's a SaaS model. It's pay as you go, so it's usage based. The only thing is we have a yearly fee to get on the platform. With that, you get 2 accounts or 2 tenancies, we call them. Multiple users can work on these accounts. One is entirely free to use, but you cannot use it on air. So it's going to be watermarked. Your output is going to be watermarked, but you can use it to, you have an idea, you want to try a workflow, so you can just spin up some workloads, try it out. Once you're comfortable with it, you want to bring it to air, you move it to your production account, which is going to be pay as you go. And we have 2 pricing models. One is per hour, which will cater very well to event-based type of things like football, for example, which is only happening on weekends. Or it could be a monthly subscription, and you can use it as much as you want. And it's going to be per workload or per type of application that you use inside.